The next question is, Essex County has a very high unemployment rate. What will you do to create jobs in our area?
Essex County does have a very high unemployment rate. In fact, more often than not, we have the highest unemployment rate in the country, both for adults and for youth. The Liberal Party of Canada has outlined, as I had indicated earlier, the historic infrastructure spending plan, which will provide many, many jobs in the area. We're also we've also proposed a jobs and skills training program that will provide for funding for labor market development agreements in collaboration with the provinces. We're looking at increasing funding for literacy and numeracy. We're working with Aboriginal groups to enhance the assets program. We're also following up with an apprenticeship program, and that program will tie in with our infrastructure spending plan so that individuals who are in the apprenticeship program will also have positions available in the infrastructure plan as we go forward with jobs for creation of roads, sewers, wastewater plants, and so forth. You're welcome. My time wasn't up.
Oh yeah, did it beep?
1 second. 1 second. I didn't want to get you going on another sentence. So.
Overall, 200,000 more Canadians are jobless now than before the 2008 recession. I personally experienced job loss in 2008. I know what that feels like inside of your home. I know what that experience is like. There are many, many people in my workplace who are still not back to work and will likely never return to Ford Motor Company. It's a very devastating thing to have people losing their jobs and no access to jobs inside of our community. Tom Mulcair and the NDP have a concrete plan. I mentioned our reduction of small business tax and the innovation boosting research and development credit that we're going to put in place. We also want to partner with small businesses, industry, NGOs, and government. Sorry, the fly has found me now. And help 40,000 young Canadians get jobs, paid internships, or co-op placements. We want to create apprenticeship spaces through federal infrastructure projects. We're going to partner with municipalities and Indigenous governments to hire apprentices for infrastructure projects. We're going to protect the safety of young workers and crack down on the use of unpaid internships. We need to improve financial incentives for automakers and parts suppliers with better use of the Auto Innovation Fund. How do we have an Auto Innovation Fund sitting with $500 million in it, not committed, and we're watching manufacturing work leave our region?
Started out earlier, Canada's job creation record is 1.3 million net new jobs since the depths of the recession, 90% full-time, 80% in the real economy, and 2/3 in high-wage sectors. By contrast, the United States has not gained a single net new job since the end of the recession. We've been able to stabilize the base of the economy by saving the auto sector, including Ford Essex engine plant, where my fellow candidate works. We've added to our National Auto Action Plan, launched in 2008, to include the parts sector at Tiers 2 and Tiers 3, with major automotive research and development. We have new trade agreements that are making a difference for new investments at Chrysler to take advantage of the EU trade agreement. We're keeping taxes down for not only Chrysler and Ford. The alternatives will raise them. We're keeping payroll taxes down. The NDP will raise them. That's not a recipe that they pursue with high taxes, with more green energy, and with more red tape. Those are the policies that will kill jobs, including the auto industry. And don't take my word, listen to Sergio Marchionne. The very policies that the NDP support are the very policies that the Ontario Liberals have implemented with tragic consequences for manufacturing in this province. We're going to keep low taxes, more training, and more trade, and that will create jobs in this region and across the country.
Like some of the other platforms, the Greens will also end any unpaid internships, which is obviously hurting the youth. They go to university, college, they take on jobs for free, which often lead to nothing. Since we live in a region where unemployment is so high, it's so unfortunate that we have youth going to school, going to graduate studies, and still unable to find employment. They're having to go out west, they're having to go to Toronto, they're even having to move to the United States. I myself have lived in this region for over 12 years. Despite a university education, experience, and hard work, I have yet to find full-time employment. I have worked many contract jobs. I have worked for Canada Post now as a casual, and I see it firsthand how hard it is for youth to find employment, meaningful, full-time employment. We need to strengthen, obviously, our manufacturing sector, but we have to urge them to go more green in their production. We have to obviously strengthen our service sector because many jobs in Canada, the majority of jobs, are service related. We have to lower the cost for small businesses to operate so that more youth and people of all ages can open small businesses, which employ the majority of Canadians. We also have to work towards lowering the cost of tuition, or as the Greens would like to make it, abolish the tuition cost altogether. Thank you.
Canada needs a plan to revive agriculture and agri-foods research. What is your party prepared to do to ensure funding and resources are available?
Research investment is critically important in our country. We had Dr. David Suzuki here this week really raising an alarm to us about what's happening with science inside of Canada and how the Conservative government has stifled science, stifled research, and refuses to fund it. The funding has been cut so drastically that we are unable to provide basic data. It seems as though our current government really is against any form of data collection that would benefit businesses, that would benefit farms, that would benefit manufacturing, that would benefit all Canadians. When businesses are looking to invest or when they are looking to expand, they need science. They need research to rely upon to tell them the ways that they are able to do that. If we have our science and research stifled and not funded inside of Canada, we cannot build a strong Canada. We need that to be a part of the solution.
So agriculture obviously needs a strong research and development. I'm holding in my hand just the printout of projects, about 120 of them, major research projects funded by Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. And that's just the province of Ontario. I didn't bring all the other provinces, but that's 120 right here. And they're all very important. We also have a major science project going on in Alberta. It's 4 years of looking at the health of bee pollinators. Important science that the province of Ontario has ignored. Science that shows, for example, that controlling emission dust from air planters reduces exposure, that neonics have a short life in the soil and do not translocate to the plant at a level that will cause harm. And yet Liberals, cheered on by New Democrats, thought that a ban on neonics was important for our agricultural community. That's why it's important to listen to the science. It's Kathleen Wynne who didn't listen to the science. We're also investing locally in projects that are important here. Many of you will remember that we're funding a project right here in Harrow so that we can grow a soybean in Essex County conditions that will meet not only the taste and the palate of Japanese soy milk consumers, but will smell the way they like it, so they'll buy our soybeans.
Isn't modern technology nice? A gentleman at home was nice enough to turn the air conditioning on for us. So.
Thank you. Again, obviously agriculture is very important in this region. We have to support farmers. We have to support scientists as well. The two go hand in hand. The economy and ecology are so closely linked. Some of us choose to ignore that fact, but they are very linked. We have to study new herbicides, new pesticides. We have to study genetically modified organisms before they go to market. Unfortunately, the way the government is run right now, we have many food products and many crops that are going into production much sooner than they could actually be studied. The long-term effects are scary. There's 50% of people now die from some form of cancer. I mean, most people will get cancer in their lifetime. It's terrible, it's scary. We need a clean agricultural system that's sustainable. We have only so much land to work with. We need to work with the land we have and sustain it for generations to come. Thank you. No, we aren't. I'm not saying you're not. Okay, I didn't come here to get heckled, but thank you.
Thank you. Agriculture is an incredibly important economic factor in Essex County. The Liberal Party recognizes that, and we recognize that in order for agriculture to advance, we need to unmuzzle the scientists. We need to invest in our research stations. We need to ensure that we continue to prosper and grow. The Liberal Party recognizes that biotechnical innovation is crucial to the agricultural competitiveness and the productivity of farmers. We want to balance the needs of farmers, of trading partners, and consumers, and it's important to the health of the Canadian agriculture sector. We're also looking at investing in green energy, and that also requires investment, and it requires an opportunity to grow and study and learn. The restoration of funding in Essex County in particular will be used to invest in local projects. The collaboration between the municipalities, the province, and the federal government is key, and we will be supporting that.
It seems obvious that gas price fixing is real. What will your party do to bring our gas prices in line to being fair in comparison to U.S. prices?
I'm not sure they can be equivalent to U.S. prices for a number of reasons. First of all, is the cost of transport, which is in it. If gas is being refined in the United States and transported to places, in Ottawa or Quebec, for example, that's in the cost of it. What we have done, first of all, though, is we passed the Fairness at the Pumps Act. We have to make sure that you're not being cheated by what is dispensed at the pumps. Secondly, we've lowered the GST on the price of gasoline and on everything, by the way. The third thing is that you don't institute a carbon tax, which will drive up the cost of gas. Some say by as much as 25 cents a litre if you cost out what the NDP ran on last time. That's a significant move in the wrong direction. Higher gas prices like that will do what? Well, it will make everything more expensive, but it will also kill jobs. We're not going to do that. When it comes to how ethical the gas stations are, we also have prosecuted successfully a number of gas stations, I think in eastern Quebec it was, who were colluding on price. We have the law to do that, and we'll continue to make sure that they are pricing Canadians fairly. But what we won't do is raise the price of gas by piling on carbon taxes like the NDP will.
Thank you.
The Greens are definitely looking to put on a carbon tax, which may come as an undesirable idea for some. Unfortunately, in the lives we live, we drive big vehicles. I can be blamed as well. We live in a society where we burn a lot of fossil fuels. We need to actually work to increase mass transportation. We need to have transportation that can take anyone from the county to Windsor. We need to offer more incentives for those who carpool. We need to offer incentives for people to live more green, riding bicycles, different forms of transportation. I know, I live out in the county and I understand it's hard to get into Windsor sometimes, traffic congestion and whatnot. So we definitely need to think of a transportation system so people can travel throughout the county. As far as gas prices go, yes, they may go up if we offer a carbon tax. But unfortunately, our environment is at risk. We can't keep digging the tar sands and building more pipelines. It's just too risky. I'm sorry. Thanks.
The Liberal Party has always been about the middle class. We are about ensuring that Canadians have a fair and equitable shake. We are encouraging, as I had said earlier, green energy. We've also put out a program for public transportation. We know that an economy that can't move its people will never reach its full potential. And like the Green Party, we're encouraging public transportation. We're also looking to quadruple federal investment in public transit over the next decade, and we're going to invest $20 billion more in that. However, having said that, we're also looking at electric energy. We have an infrastructure project for green energy that will encourage municipalities to have electric charging stations at the ready, so that people who are looking to avoid gas can use electric energy. We also encourage bicycles, and I can tell you that we have had a canvassing crew out on bicycles going out into the county, and they certainly are not worried about gas price fixing.
So we need some legislation that protects us from overnight jumps. When we wake up in the morning and we see a whole bunch of people lined up at one gas station, we automatically think, what's going on? The price of gas is going up. We see different costs of gas as we go along at every gas station. We need to have some legislation put in place and partner with the provincial government in order to protect ourselves as consumers when we're at that gas pump. We have it happening in other provinces. There's no reason that it can't happen here, so that we can understand what part of our budget at home is going to be put towards our transportation costs. We absolutely have to look at green technology. We do. We have to look at where we're heading. We have to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels and support energy efficiency and conservation. It's something that the world is doing, that the world is actually watching Canada and wondering why we're not doing. There are leaders in this world right now who are at the forefront of green technology, and bringing all of that into Essex, bringing that into our communities is something that will sustain us for the future. When we talk about our youth, we have to look at what we're leaving behind for our youth, and we also have to, in Alberta, we have an NDP government, which we're very excited to see. So we have to look at a way that the resource extraction that's currently happening has a way to be produced in Canada. Oh, I'm going around, it's done.
The decision to stay at home with my children was made for me when the job I had couldn't cover the cost of 2 children in childcare. What will your party do to help working mothers support safe, credible care for their kids?
I definitely understand the plight of the working mother. I have a 4-year-old daughter myself. She just started kindergarten a week ago, or this week. It's very hard to balance the income you make, balance it with the cost of childcare. Oftentimes, people are paying $45 a day to put their child, their infant, in childcare from 1 year on. It's a very unfortunate situation. The Green Party is looking to have a national childcare plan where it's attainable to find childcare and it's affordable for everyone. We definitely need to have this in place so that mothers can work if they'd like to. But we also need to support those who choose to stay home and be with their children until they're of school age. We have to be supportive of both choices, and we have to make it affordable for women to go to work and to have their children in childcare. We have to make home childcare more attractive to people with more licensed childcare in-home efforts. My daughter went to an in-home childcare facility, and she enjoyed it very much, and I definitely recommend that to those struggling to find childcare. But in some of the rural communities, you're not going to find that. So we have to encourage those to open childcare in their home, open up their doors, and we have to make it an attractive option for them, certainly. Thank you.
I'm a mother, and my children have both been attending, or had both attended daycare, and I sat on the board of that daycare so that I could ensure that the care that they were receiving was the best care possible. The Liberal Party of Canada does have a plan, Fairness for the Middle Class. I've alluded to it earlier, where we will provide one bigger, fair, income-tested, tax-free monthly benefit that will help families with the high cost of raising their children. Under our plan, Canadian families will receive more money in their pocket, and we believe that families understand best how to spend money on their families. So we don't need a national daycare plan telling people where they should put their children in daycare. Families will have the opportunity to spend their money as they see fit, whether it's buying shoes, whether it's keeping their mom at home so she doesn't have to go to work, and it will be an opportunity for families to decide what is in the best interest for their children. 9 out of 10 families will do much better under the Liberal plan.
We're in a childcare crisis in Canada. We have 2 boys who are 14 and 12 who went through the daycare system, and at times that cost was far more than our mortgage has ever been. And families are struggling to find childcare, let alone afford to pay for childcare when they can find it. The average Canadian family is paying $1,000 per month per child, sometimes as much as $2,000. Stephen Harper promised to create 125,000 new childcare spaces, but he's failed to deliver even one. The last time the Liberals were in power, they repeatedly promised to deliver a national childcare plan, but failed to get the job done through 12 years of a majority government. Justin Trudeau's tax plan for families won't create a single childcare space, and his proposed income tax cut does nothing at all for the 2/3 of Canadians making less than $44,700 per year. We are going to create an affordable childcare plan in Canada and maintain 1 million high-quality childcare spaces and cap fees for parents at no more than $15 per day. That's 9,000 childcare spaces in Windsor, Essex alone. Every dollar invested into childcare returns $2 into our economy. This is good social policy, this is good economic policy, this is just good sense.
Well, we are as a government, we brought in child care choice with the universal child care benefit, and now we've enhanced it. We've also enhanced the child care expense deduction by $1,000 at every age level for receivable daycare. We have also introduced flexibility. In rural Canada, you know that you may prefer an informal daycare arrangement. You may be working a late shift and therefore can't meet the typical registered daycare hours. You may prefer a family arrangement for care for your kids. Whatever your choice, we pay directly to you. Our plan covers 100% of Canadian families. The New Democrats' plan covers less than 10% of Canadian families. Our plan, we give the money to you. The NDP's plan, they give it to the bureaucrats. They have a $5 billion union daycare plan. It's not fully paid for. The provinces must join in, and only one NDP government that has been swimming in chronic deficit has signed on to the plan, so they can't even deliver what they're promising to you with their plan. If you want childcare choice, flexibility that respects who you are as parents and how you choose to raise your children, vote Conservative.
We're just about halfway through building the bridge and the highway. This has put $5 billion into our local infrastructure. Why did your party support this?
The Herb Gray Parkway and the new bridge was one of the projects that was started by the Liberal government many, many years ago. The planning, the original outline for that road and bridge project was recognized as something that was important to Essex County. It was important to our agricultural industry. It was important to our greenhouses. We need to get our products to market, and our biggest market is the United States. Our biggest trading partner is the United States. So the current bridge and international crossing was insufficient, and that's why we got it going. We continue to invest in infrastructure. We continue to invest in roads, bridges, sewers, and what that does is it provides jobs, provides training, and provides skills for individuals right within this area. You're welcome.
Brian Massey has fought tirelessly to bring the bridge and has fought on every level to make sure that that bridge is sitting where it is currently. He's the member of the NDP for Windsor West. I think what the question was inferring really brings a conversation about omnibus bills. Omnibus bills have been introduced in our country when Stephen Harper promised that we would not see omnibus bills go through our House of Commons. Omnibus bills are bills that contain hundreds, typically thousands of line items in them that don't frankly belong together, that don't form a package of similarly used legislation. So with an omnibus bill, it's incredibly difficult to vote through when you fundamentally disagree with components that are buried deeply inside of that bill. Pieces that do not belong in a piece of legislation are detrimental to Canadians. And so we, of course, would end omnibus bills, as Stephen Harper promised, but failed to do, and in fact brought through more omnibus bills than we have ever seen. We need transparency in our House of Commons. We need transparency on what our politicians are actually voting upon so that we can hold them accountable. When an omnibus bill goes forward, we do not know what is inside of that piece of legislation.
Well, this is the government that has brought you the Gordie Howe International Bridge and has been a funding partner at 50% for the Herb Gray Parkway and the thousands of jobs that accompany those projects. Now, budgets are about priorities, and of course, I'm going to tell you about Joe Camuzzi, who was a Liberal cabinet minister, who voted for a conservative budget because of a cancer center and 300 jobs in Thunder Bay. And then he sat as an independent for a few years as a result of it, but he knew his priorities. Joe Camuzzi stood for his constituents. Joe Comartin couldn't vote in favor of $2.7 billion and thousands of jobs for this region. Their priorities are Tom Mulcair and the NDP. Our priorities are delivering jobs and infrastructure for this region. You know what the best thing was watching Joe Comartin hide behind the Speaker's chair on votes for the Bridge to Strengthen Trade Act instead of standing in his seat and saying, we need to do that so Matty Maroon can't sue the bridge. That's what you get from NDP. They stand for their party and they watch out for themselves. We are going to continue to deliver that Gordie Howe International Bridge and the thousands of jobs that people in this region depend on. We'll stand when they call the vote and we'll say yes for Essex and Windsor. Remember Joe Camuzzi. He had guts.
As far as the bridge is concerned, obviously the Green Party is supportive of infrastructure that will improve our day-to-day lives, improve trade, make things more easy, accessible. But we do also have to think of the environmental detriment that the bridge has caused. I was working at the Windsor Utilities Commission in Unwin when homes were having to be torn down at the time. Unfortunately, some people lived in their homes for decades, and unfortunately they had to lose their homes to build the bridge. It was a sad situation. And unfortunately, a bridge in that community makes air pollution even worse for the community in the area. Unfortunately, it's not always a good situation to have so much truck traffic coming through such a residential area. So yes, we support infrastructure, but at a cost. Obviously, the environment should come before anything else. Thank you.
And this will be our last question. If your party is elected to form the next government, what will be your number one priority, and what will you do for Essex County?
Tracy.
When my party is elected, we will fight for jobs. We will fight for Canadians. We will fight for families. We will fight for seniors. We'll fight for our youth. We'll fight for our scientists. We'll fight for environmentalists. We will fight for everyone in Canada having a say in the Canada that we're forming, in being able to be participants in democracy inside of our own country, in having a say in the way that our communities are developed, our farms are developed, our manufacturing is developed. Having a say as Canadians in a democratic way means having a representative who will stand up for what you believe in. Means going to Ottawa and bringing the concerns of those inside of your region to Ottawa, fighting for those who live inside of your riding, and listening to their concerns, listening to what they have to say, partnering with them on every level. That's what we would bring to government. That's what an NDP government would be all about. And we desperately need someone to stand up for our healthcare in Canada. We haven't discussed healthcare here, but it is so incredibly important. And really, it's part of our identity of who we are as Canadians. The Conservatives will steal $36 billion out of our federal transfers down to the provinces. They refuse to meet with the provinces. They've let our health accord lapse. We are in dire straits and heading for privatization if we do not elect an NDP government.
Gord Henderson said, and I quote, that Jeff Watson can call himself the billion-dollar MP, the most successful federal representative this region has ever had, end quote. And that's because I've been an influential voice on your behalf in Ottawa, delivering results and not just cheap talk like the two new Democrats in Windsor. What are we going to do? We're going to strengthen the economy. Unlike the NDP, who will raise your taxes and impose creative new taxes, whether it's a carbon tax or more payroll taxes, more green energy that will kill jobs in this region and wreck our economy. We're going to keep your taxes low. We're going to keep lowering your taxes. We're going to increase training here to overcome the skills mismatch in our economy. There are plenty of skilled jobs with people who aren't working them. And of course, we're going to keep concluding the important trade agreements that will drive our exports and create jobs right here at home. That will be our focus. That has been our focus, and we will deliver for this region.
The Green Party has a collaborative nature. We don't attack other parties, we work with other parties. Unlike the other parties who put out attack ads and want to split hairs over every issue, we want to work with other parties. We want to work to build a healthier Canada, a more prosperous Canada. Obviously in this region, jobs are the #1 issue. We need to, despite what some people may believe, we do need to bring in green energy. Maybe turbines aren't the answer, but geothermal, more solar system. We need to bring in energy. We need to bring in energy that people can afford. Right now, our hydro rates are the highest in the province, even highest in the country. We need to bring in energy that people can afford, and we need to obviously conserve our energy. That's a problem that we have in this country. We're the most wasteful country in the world. It's a sad statistic, but it's true. We have more solid waste and we waste more energy than the United States. We need to develop plans that will conserve the energy we have and grow the energy sector. Thank you.
When the Liberal Party forms the next government, the #1 priority will be to strengthen the economy and create jobs in this region. We're also focused on protecting retirement for seniors. We're going to start on providing affordable housing, social housing, and seniors housing. We have a commitment to the veterans. We're going to reopen the Veterans Affairs offices. We're going to hire staff, and we're going to make sure that our vets are that the promise that we've made to vets will be continued. We promise an open and transparent government. Our government will meet with the provinces and the territories because we have a lot of work that has to be done, and it has to be done collaboratively. If we want to get started on infrastructure spending, if we want to get started on green energy, if we want to get started on public transportation, we have to meet with the provinces and the municipalities and move forward from there. We can't do it alone. It's important to put the spotlight back on Essex, and I will work very, very diligently. I will work hard to ensure that we bring prosperity back to Essex.
Thank you all for the answers to the questions, and if you didn't get your question read after the closing statements, you can go check their booths or ask one of the other candidates then your question. We're going to start now with closing statements. You have 2 minutes, and we'll start the way we've been going, Jeff.
Thank you very much. This election is about who has the proven experience to keep Canada safe and our economy strong. Since the end of the Great Recession and under this Prime Minister's leadership, we've had the best job creation record and the best growth of middle-class incomes among the advanced nations of the world. We've balanced the budget, lowered taxes, increased investments in healthcare and education, in infrastructure, and in benefits for families and seniors. The NDP and the Liberals promised tens of billions in new permanent spending financed by permanently higher taxes or deficits. They will take away in whole or in part your universal child care benefit, your TIFSA, and your income splitting. On the farm and rural economies in our communities, farm income is up, asset values up, the number of young farmers is up. We've said no to a moratorium or ban on neonic use. We've lowered cost of production for farmers. We've protected supply management. And as you heard the NDP tonight talk about a transition plan away from supply management. We've ended the useless and costly long gun registry that treated farmers and hunters like they were criminals. There are no better prospects for your farm and your family than right here in Canada. And on October 19th, I ask you to vote to re-elect Jeff Watson to continue building the best country in the world. Thank you.
I'd first like to say thank you so much for inviting me today. I know the Green Party often doesn't get a voice. I know Elizabeth May has been silenced. She hasn't been able to attend many events like last night's Globe and Mail. It's very unfortunate for a party with such a great platform that's always had a great platform. They care about the people, they care about the environment, and it's a collaborative effort. We want to work with the other parties, but as MP, I would definitely work for you. I will work tirelessly to listen to what the needs of the community are, to find out what works best for the community in line with the country. We're the only party that does not believe in whipped votes, meaning that we can vote independently as MPs. We can choose what is best for the community that we represent, as opposed to choosing what is best for the person in charge. We are a party that has always cared about the environment, understands that respecting the environment can also mean good jobs, can also mean great health. All these things are interconnected, so I ask you to look into the Green Party platform, take a look on our website. Elizabeth May is a brilliant woman, and she has the best ideas for our country. Please take a look, and don't hesitate to ask me any questions. I'd be happy to answer. Thanks so much again for having me here. Vote Green. Thanks.
To put it simply, Canada deserves better. Essex deserves better. Canadians have seen personal debt rise and job prospects sink. Essex is not flourishing. Conservative policies don't work, and most certainly aren't working here, where we have the highest unemployment rate in the country. NDP smoke and mirror plans are simply a mirage. The NDP is no longer committed to their healthcare pledge to restore the $36 billion in cut federal funding. They've changed their mind on their transit plan, and they've downloaded the costs of their daycare plan onto the provinces. In fact, Ontario, where we have full-day SK and JK, may not even get any. It's simply smoke and mirrors. Now is the time to plan. I've built a small business. I know that the time to invest in expansion is while interest rates are low, while people are looking for work. Economists agree a manageable deficit is not a bad thing, and in fact can be very good. Money spent on infrastructure, on highways, higher education, healthcare is an investment in the real capital of the country. It's not a burden to future generations. In fact, what it does is it gives them hope and a leg up. It's time to invest in Essex, in the agri-food business, in family farms, in manufacturing, and in youth. So on October 19th, demand real change. You have a choice between the Conservative and NDP parties proposing the same tired approach, which puts money in the hands of the wealthy, increases taxes on corporations, and we can look forward to years of Senate reform battles amending the Canadian Constitution. Canada simply doesn't have the resources to do that. Or you could choose real change. As your next MP for Essex, I will champion Essex. I will fight for you, just as I have fought and worked hard my entire life. Essex will have a voice in Ottawa.
You done? Thank you very much to the candidates. You done?
She's got the closing statement.
I am flipping.
You're in a hurry. I know it's warm. Well, thank you for taking the time to be here with me today and sharing your priorities with me and my opponents. I really appreciated the thoughtful questions that you all brought forward, and appreciate your time. I want you to know that I'm listening to voters, and if elected, that's exactly what I'll continue to do. Whether it's kickstarting our manufacturing sector, helping small businesses, investing in local infrastructure, building a national child care program, or increasing retirement security, I'm proud to be running for the party with the workable plan to help local families. The NDP will balance the budget, stimulate the economy, and create jobs by asking corporations to pay a little bit more, to pay their fair share. Only Tom Mulcair and the NDP have the leadership and the experience to get the job done. Tom Mulcair's NDP is ready to bring change to Ottawa, and I'm ready too. We are 33 days away from kickstarting manufacturing and helping small businesses. We are 33 days away from keeping supply management strong. We are 33 days away from a senior strategy that provides dignity. 33 days away from securing national public health care and creating good paying jobs in our communities. We are 33 days away from bringing real change to Ottawa.
Don't forget to vote. Your vote is important. Don't say, well, it doesn't matter. So just make sure you get other people out there to vote. One quick reminder before you go there, hang on. You want a free breakfast on Sunday?
Yeah,
There's going to be a free breakfast on Sunday.
There you go.
And you guys can all come back out there again too. It's Ontario Farmers. It's at Highland Farms. Brian's here. He can give you directions. It's at the corner of Manning and County Road 8. It's a free breakfast. Out there and see how farming is actually done. You can look at cows, test tractors, ride tractors. They're expecting 2,000 people, so there's already been over 1,000 pre-booked, so this is your last chance to get in there. I'd like to thank Verbatim Productions, Moccasin Media, CFTV. I'd like to also thank the Federation of Agriculture for being here, and thank you for tonight. Have a good evening, and don't forget to vote.